Hello, my friends. Welcome to Word Made Digital Tutorials. I'm Joanna Fleur, and today on the tutorials we have Alyssa Esparaz. I'm so excited to have her because she's the Manager of Content and Public Relations with Compassion Canada. She's an expert at communicating, which is what these tutorials are all about, to equip you. And as we, Compassion and Word Made Digital, are working on an exciting fundraiser together in the month of June 2022, we realized there's something applicable longer term about how to do a fundraiser and how to make that effective. So without further ado, I'm going to pass off to Alyssa because she has some really great practical tips for how to do a fundraiser and make it successful. Alyssa.
Thanks, Joanna. I'm so excited to be here. And all right, 4 quick tips on a great fundraiser. So the first one is make it personal. And, perhaps to put it a little bit more harshly, like if you don't care, why should I care? People can really tell if you're faking it, and authenticity matters with these things. And so, asking yourself a question of like, is this something that you're personally supporting, that you can personally get behind and really rally people towards? And maybe it's not like you find that thing within the fundraiser that you get really excited about. And, sometimes it's easy. Like it's a GoFundMe for a friend. So you're like, this is my friend. Or it's something you personally benefited from. But admittedly, sometimes it's harder because it can be this like far away thing that's maybe happening on the other side of the world. But that doesn't make it any less important. And so how do we make that connection? And so, like you said, we're working on something together, Joanna, that is literally on the other side of the world. Yeah. And so I'm curious, maybe you can even talk about like, how are you making that feel personal and connected?
Yeah, the most personal part of this fundraiser for me is that we're partnering with 40 people in a church that serve nearly 400 kids and youth and their families. Like, this is a small, mighty group of people with huge vision, not just for something that will fix a today problem, like a Band-Aid solution or an urgent need, but like a long-term vision they have for caring for their community. Like sports fields and a learning center are a long-term generational impact that this amazing group of 40 people, this amazing church wants to do. And that's where it feels so personal to me, is like, how can we partner with this church who is trying to bring what I often say is the best news in the world, and think about that holistically and long term and have big vision, and I just want to come alongside it and support it any way I can.
Cool. I can tell you're not faking it. See? real life example right here.
There we go.
But like, you've picked that thing that makes it personal, and that's what's exciting to me, because like if you were an engineer, like maybe you'd talk about like the engineering side of this project, but like you're talking about the church because that's what you talk about all the time, and that's exciting to me. So that's tip number 1, make it personal. That personal connection is so important in an effective fundraiser. Tip number 2 is set a goal and a timeline. And this is a little bit of a gimme, but it's worth saying because it's so important for a fundraiser. It's what makes your fundraiser measurable and tangible. And so say it explicitly. We're trying to raise X amount of dollars in this time frame. We've done that for our fundraiser that we're working on together. $4,000 in 30 days of June. Woohoo! Just people can grasp onto that and make it real, and kind of get those updates. Like, that's important. Like, give people a way to track the progress and update them along the way. And so whether that's like a digital solution, or it's like the old school thermometer on the church wall, obviously, to be a good communicator, just meet your audience where they're at. So don't put the thermometer on the church wall if that's not where people are coming to see your stuff.
Although now I want to make one on my wall here in my
you
office.
Should, yes.
For our fun. Okay. I might do that.
I love it. Okay, so that's tip number 2, measurable, tangible goals. Tip number 3, ask boldly and directly. And I know sometimes that can feel awkward, but you would be shocked how many times, like even in my role, you're working with someone on like a fundraiser or like doing an appeal for something, and they forget to ask. You can actually forget to ask when you're doing a fundraiser. They just like talk around it. They never say like, would you please give to this need? And so, let's go back to making it personal, because I feel like a lot of people feel like it feels awkward. I don't know how to ask. But when it's personal, then it's authentic. Like, the world needs more people talking authentically about the things that matter. And I bet so many people in your life, if you're doing a fundraiser, they would be delighted to hear about something that matters to you. In fact, think of other people who have come to you to tell you about something that matters to them. And so I did this when I graduated from university. During the pandemic, I did a fundraiser for people being pushed deeper into poverty due to the global crisis that was coming out of it. And I posted all over social media, which was effective in its own way. But what ended up being most effective was the emails that I personally sat down and sent to people, like key people in my life. And I just boldly and directly asked them to give. And you would be surprised, like, how many people just loved being invited into something like this personally, because there's so many needs in the world. So like a personal push in a specific direction can go a long way.
Yeah,
that was tip number 3. Last one, tip number 4, probably one that's missed a lot but so important, which is like celebrate and report back. And this gets missed a lot as well, right? Like, you hit your goal and you're like, we're done, it's great, we're like, the thing happened. But your fundraiser isn't finished until you properly celebrated, thanked people, and reported back on what the money did, even if it's like a year later. And this is something we're super serious about at Compassion. Every project that we fundraise for has a specific reporting plan. You can see it on our website, or for some donors who prefer, again, meet with them where they're at, like a paper or PDF report, we send that to them. And some of these things are for things that happened like 2 or 3 years, or we fundraised for it 2 or 3 years ago. And sometimes, change and impact is slow, and patience is necessary in the work we do. But people really respond to hearing back, even if it's months or years later. It's really, really important. So that's my last one. Here's the summary. Make it personal, be authentic, make it tangible. Don't forget to actually ask, and always report back. And those are my 4 tips.
Awesome. It's so helpful. It applies to anyone who's doing a fundraiser in your church, in your ministry, in something that you care about. And so what we're talking about doing is partnering with this church in Northern Thailand, 40 people in this church who serve nearly 400 kids and youth, plus their families. We're trying to raise $4,000 the month of June 2022. So if you're listening to this later, there's still time to give to lots of stuff that's going on with Compassion, but this is a month of June initiative, and we would like to ask you to give $40 to raise $4,000 so that 40 people can serve 400 kids, youth, and their families. And this is a generational impact that we get to be a part of. Whether you like the sports side of things or you like the learning side of things, whether you found yourself, in school more on the sports field or more in the library, there's something for each kind of kid. And we have an opportunity to tell people the best news in the world through tangible things that they're going to receive through this kind of programming that the church has vision for. So it's an honor to be part of it. Alyssa, where do you want to send people today to find out more?
Yeah, you can go to compassion.ca/WMD for Word Made Digital.
Awesome. Thanks, Alyssa.
Thank you.